Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar alumni panel for our GBS program. I am thrilled to be here with three of our most recent alumni from the GBS class of 2025 cohort. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know you're all super busy, so it really means a lot to see you again and reconnect and share with potential candidates that might be considering the program what your journey was like. For everybody, my name is Camino de Paz. I'm the Assistant Dean of Global Network Programs at Yale School of Management. And part of my portfolio is overseeing admissions for 2-degree programs. One is the Master of Advanced Management, and the other one is this program, the Master in Global Business and Society, which is a post-Master in Management or equivalent. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our guests tonight. And I'm going to start with you, Tanya. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Camino. So my name is Tanya Paul. My MIM school was INSEAD, so I did my MIM there. I'm from Bangalore, kind of. I've lived a little bit all over, so I feel like hometown is a little odd question for me. In terms of my work experience, I co-founded a social enterprise when I was an undergrad, and then I shifted and I worked for 2 years in Schneider Electric in a sustainability consulting leadership program. So I did a bit of CVC, a bit of impact investing, and sustainability consulting. And now one of the main things that I focused when I was at Yale was on social entrepreneurship. I did as many courses as I could on that. And then I focused a lot on YC courses because of the interdisciplinary focus at Yale. Right now I'm in Singapore. I'm back at the same team, but I'm doing the sales role.
Perfect. Thank you, Tanya. Vivian, can you go next?
Yeah, of course. My name is Vivian. I'm from China. Before I started M2M, I was working in finance for a little bit. So I work in different discipline of finance. I was at Amazon for corporate finance, at Jefferies for equity and sales, and John Hancock for derivative trading. And then after, all that, I was on the M2M program with HEC Paris. During this program, I took a gap year before I came to Yale. So in France, I was able to experience impact investing and also part of a startup for a little bit during my gap year. And that shaped intensively how and what I do at Yale during the year. So during the year at Yale, I was super engaged with the program of entrepreneurship. So I work in a bunker every day, bunker. I mean, you guys will see later, just down in the basement, and working on my startup. So we just graduated this year, and now I am full time working on a startup. Thanks for the Yale Donors Fund and also the entrepreneurship program, the fellowship program. So yeah, move back to New Haven, be close to the system here, and that's me.
Thank you, Vivian. David.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is David. So I come from, I also did the M2M from HEC Paris, which is also my hometown. Before the MIM, I was studying CS and AI, so I did some internship in a consulting firm as a data scientist, and I also did some research in AI. I also did an internship during the 2 years of the M2M summer internship as a product manager, and now that's what I'm doing in close to San Francisco in the Silicon Valley. I'm a software product manager at Logitech, and during my time at Yale, so I was part of the tech club, which was super helpful with all the recruiting in tech, and I also got the chance to really experience the broader Yale community through other clubs like the hockey club, the Yale Film Society, which is also with some like college students. Um, so yeah, now I'm based in the Bay Area, working as a software product manager, and looking forward to evolve in this career path.
Thank you so much, David. The first question that I'm going to ask you is the difference between the M2M and the pathway to the GBS, standalone GBS. So, David, I'm going to start with you. Like, what is the M2M? We might have people listening in that are considering the M2M, and others, and I'm going to then turn it over to Tanya, might just be currently enrolling in MIM and considering the GBS. But sometimes people get really confused and they think that M2M is a program per se when it's not, it's a pathway. So how does that work? And how do you come across, in your case, the M2M? And explain a little bit what is all this?
Totally. So yeah. So when you want to join the GBS at Yale SOM, you need to have done the MIM before. And the M2M is basically like a pathway to do that. You do the first year and at MIM at one of the partner schools. So in my case, and Vivian's case, HC Paris. And then you go to Yale SOM to do the GBS straight after your MIM. And so you have the chance to take a gap year between the 2 years if you're interested in. Personally, I went directly to SOM. I don't know, Vivian, what you did, but that's basically how it works.
So basically you get admitted to both degree programs before you start.
Totally. Yeah. In my case, I applied to both. So I had 2 interviews, one with SOM and one with HC Paris. And so yeah, both committees had to admit me in the program.
Exactly. But you heard from both the schools before you even started at to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. I knew that I will do the 2 years, first year at HEC, second year at Yale before I even joined HEC Paris.
Exactly. Well, for you, Tanya, it was a little bit different.
Yeah, for me, it was very different. So I came from INSEAD, and at that time, at least last year when I was applying, Yale was, I think, just testing out letting non-partner schools apply. So the first question I had was, can I even apply for this program? Luckily, it was a resounding yes. So I was able to apply. I think that's the first thing I want to share. Please do apply. I think the difference is to make sure that this is something that you can go into. So you have to make sure you meet the less than 3 years working experience criteria. That's one of the big ones. And then also just look at what can you explore at Yale versus what are you doing at your MIM? Because sometimes different programs have different requirements. So make sure you have that very clear because that will be useful rest of your interview process into your applications. So that was something that I focused on as well. Like before I applied, I sent an email actually just to check, hey, can I apply? And also just to make sure that this is something that would complement my MIM experience well.
Perfect. So, okay, so now we have cleared the different pathway to get to the GBS. Vivian followed the same pathway as David, so that's what I'm not asking her the question, but Vivian, then once you decided, okay, I'm gonna apply, what was the process like? Like, how do you prepare for the application? Obviously, I'm talking about the GBS part of the application, right? How do you prepare for the application? How long did it take you to prepare for that application? What do you think made you successful and you know, earn a spot in the class? What can you share with potential candidates that might help them in the process when they prepare to apply, and things that you might wanted to have known then that you know now? So what would you share with the audience?
Right. There's a lot of questions, so I try to address all of them. Let me know if I miss anything. Well, I think it took about, I wouldn't say that long for me to finish the applications. I would say 2 weeks. Because for me, when I was working on the applications, it was mainly aligning with, my experience, and how I can contribute if I were to be part of this, or the other ways around, and the other way around, how this program will benefit me in a way to progress in my career. So I think I was very clear. This was my top choice. I only applied for 2 programs during the time. I was like, this is it. I also was very clear about, specifically HEC Paris and Yale was the program that I was going to do, aligning with my past experience, because I think that is when I was trying to, break into sustainability and work more on that facet of things. How do I position myself as a financial, background, but now trying to bridge into this, and how this program will help me with this whole transition, and how me breaking into this field is able to contribute back to the community in a way to, let's say, provide my background in finance, or else be more active in the sustainability related clubs or fairs. So I think knowing what you want And knowing how you can contribute back to the program is very important. And I think that saved tons of my time. I just need to straighten out my story and then, just that's the application. So I think something that I wish to know more is actually doing more research on, specific club, how you wanted to be part of it. I think what I did was I went online, literally scraped all the websites I can see out there to understand, what clubs are there, what I want to be part of, and sort of build the idea in my mind. But I think what I could have done better would be, literally to reach out to persons that, are part of this club and be like, hey, like how's the experience like? How you can be more active. I think giving that would be less of a fluff of the idea just only in my hand, how I can do it, but giving more solid advice from other people. So I think that would be very helpful. Did I address all the questions?
You did. Thank you, Vivian.
You're welcome.
So you did mention clubs and extracurricular activities, which are a very important part of the program, right? Like people sometimes ask us, can we do this program online or part-time? No, you cannot, right? It's a 1 year, 9 months, so intensive. David, you were very involved in things at SOM. So how do you decided what kind of activities you were going to be engaging in? How do you, beyond the research, right, that Vivian was talking about, then how you arrive to SOM, you will have a rigorous curriculum. We'll go into that very quickly. Tanya, that's going to be your question, the curriculum. So get ready. But how did you decide what kind of activities you were going to be engaging in? How do you apply? How easy, difficult it is? Also, were you able to navigate everything well with the academic workload, or do you have to, at some point, kind of adjust and say, wait a minute, I committed to too many things, or no, I committed to too little and I can do more? So how was that experience outside of the classroom for you?
Very good question. So I remember when I arrived at SOM, I also have done as Vivian a lot of research on the websites about like which club would be a good fit for me and like which areas I was interested in. But to have more like experience and information about that, I reached out to some second year MBAs, which were at the time already at SOM and have spent 1 year there. So they have a lot of information about that. And I think one good resource was to go to, there was like a bazaar organized by the students, which like showcase all the clubs, and they all have one stand, and you can go and reach out to the leaders of the club and asking them questions about what they do and things like that. There was also an equivalent one for the broader Yale community. So also had the chance to do like get a lot of information through that. And then I try to find an equilibrium between a balance between my like professional career aspirations or the recruiting. So that was more like the tech club, and then more like the fun social life with hockey club, film club, things like that. That's how I try. That's basically how I address that.
Thank you. So Tanya, the curriculum, we say it's a flexible curriculum, but you have to take advanced management courses. Then if somebody decides to follow the STEM major, then there's no so much flexibility because you do have to take STEM courses. I don't know if you were or not a STEM, but explain a little bit about the curriculum and specifically, how do you decide what classes you were going to take? Because, at SOM, outside of SOM, what was that process like for you? And what advice can you give to people that are now researching what kind of curriculum they want to pursue?
Okay, amazing. So I will answer that. I just wanted to add to Vivian's. Vivian was incredibly impressive in all respects. So it does not surprise me that she managed to do it in 2 weeks. If it takes you a bit longer, no problem. It took me a little bit of time, mostly just to align and make sure that I was able to showcase everything that I wanted to. And I built the application as a full narrative just to make sure that each aspect of the application was giving a little bit more insight into me, my personality, especially I think at the written component stage, it's a little bit more difficult because you're not there in person, you're not talking to someone in that interview stage. So it's how do you make sure in a very short amount of words that you're able to communicate everything you want to say. So if it takes you a little bit longer than 2 weeks, no problem. Vivian is very impressive as always. Speaking a little bit on the courses, so you mentioned, Camino, that we have these GBS like core courses. Within that, there's actually only one class that's mandatory, and the rest is very variable for you depending on, well, there's the fall application season and then the spring and also your schedule. But based on that, you can pick a variety. So I remember I took an amazing class called Managing Groups and Teams. So that was something that I had already come into GBS thinking, okay, this is something I'm going to focus on leadership, global, because I work in an APAC region where we also work with APMEA as well. So it's a broader scope. So how do you manage that cross-functionally? And then another class that I really, really enjoyed was the Sciences of Experiences and Well-being. So for me, for example, that was not something that I came into GBS thinking like, oh, I would take this course. But Zal Goberman is amazing. And he talked a lot about psychology, social psychology, behavioral insights. And I think that doing that in my first fall term was a really good indicator of, even if on surface that class may not seem like it would be interesting for you, as you go along, you get so much insight and just so much knowledge because the professors are just incredibly, incredibly like they're experts in their field. Like they know so much information and they're always very open. So you can go and talk to them and ask as many questions as you want. And then shifting focus, there's also then the electives that you can take. And there's two broad categories of electives. You have your SOM courses. So these are courses within the SOM program. And this is where you meet with people across MBA, EMBA, MAM programs. You really get to meet a lot of the broader SOM community. And I had an amazing class here, which was strategic leadership across sectors. So Jeff Sonnenfeld is incredible. And I think that is definitely one of the highlights of my Yale experience, was getting to be in that class where it was just week after week of just filled with incredible leaders coming in and sharing their experiences. And then another thing that I really focused on was cross-listed. So I was very interested in sustainability from the get-go and social entrepreneurship. Right in my application, I wrote about Teresa Shaheen, and then I took her class, and that also was another highlight for me. So I did social innovation starter, and then I did global social entrepreneurship, which was a 6-month consulting project, and we spent 2 weeks in India. And we traveled around and we helped a social enterprise with a go-to-market strategy. And then I also took a class in YSC, so Yale School of Environment, which was regenerative agriculture systems. So I did a little brief breakdown to the 3 different categories, because to give you an insight of how interdisciplinary the program is, yes, there are some GBS courses, but there is a lot of flexibility there. And then you have your SOM, and then you can also look into the broader Yale community. So I know some people who took undergraduate classes as well, so with Yale College, but as GBS students. So there's that kind of broad category here.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah,
Vivian.
can I
Oh.
jump on that?
Go ahead, David.
Just, yeah, I remember, Tanya, you mentioned like the Yale College classes. So I took like some psychology classes, some econ classes, which are also very interesting, good way to meet different people. You meet like the college students, and you meet also like people from other graduate school, maybe like a medical school, the law school that also go to these classes. And I think in general, when it comes to classes, try to be a bit strategic about what you want to focus on, like what skills you want to develop for your career and what course you want to take for your personal interest, because very quickly we realized that there is so many cool classes, you can't take all of them. So you have to choose and prioritize. As with everything at Yale, there is so many opportunities that you really need to choose. So yeah, that's the idea. Be strategic.
Vivian, we get so many questions about entrepreneurship. at Yale and entrepreneurship at SOM. So can you talk a little bit about the ecosystem that we have for people like you who want to become entrepreneurs? So what resources do we have at SOM? I don't know if you leverage any of the other resources, the Site City, Yale Ventures. Talk a little bit about your experience, and then yeah, all the ecosystem that we have to support our future entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs.
Right. Very happy to address that. I think that literally is my whole life at Yale, which is to be engaged with the whole ecosystem, both inside SOM and outside of SOM, as you mentioned, Yale Venture and Thai City. Well, let's talk about SOM first. We have the whole program is called Program of Entrepreneurship. And we have a base, which is in the basement, where the director and then associate director and also everyone who work on this program will be there, and they are literally my friend and my resources and my mentors and my everything. Like, I live in the basement, not gonna lie, and then spend like most of my time there, and they're just so supportive. For example, Kyle Jensen, and you guys were gonna meet them. um he is this talented professor, so smart, and he always will try to make time for everyone that come to him for any questions, like go to market strategy or how do I build this, how do I pitch. I have bothered him so much that I even feel bad about that. So I definitely really great mentor. And for Jennifer, I took her class as the startup practicum. So basically, this class is you work on your startup, but you still get your credits for schools. I was part of it in fall, and that class is just absolutely amazing. I have no idea how to build a business. Not saying that I still know now. I'm still learning, but I think that class gave me a lot of structure and invite a lot of people who are in the field to talk about how they see certain questions. And especially when I was starting to build my idea, that was incredibly helpful. Let alone we are paired with a mentor, so we have weekly check-in for 30 minutes, and then pour all the questions, ask, and then he's always happy to help. I specifically build sustainability related audit tools. So even though the mentors was not knowing this field or work at this field, but he is very generous of sharing his network and put me in touch with a lot of people, so that I can conduct my customer interview. So that was incredible. And with Yale Venture, I did do a program with them. It's called iCorp Customer Discovery Program. And it was Susan that's from Yale Venture that's leading this program. So basically what it is you get certain fundings to do customer research interviews, and then they give workshops to train you and pair you up with mentors during sessions. So that was incredibly useful for me to understand how things works. And then for the Thai City, I was also part of it. I was part of the launchpad at Thai City. I went to a lot of their events. They invite a lot of incredible speakers there. I get to, build a lot of even personal connections with some VC partners there. So it was just great. I love going to Thai City free boba sometimes. And other than all these organizations, we also have fundings for us to support. So I personally was very lucky to get 2 donors award from SOM and the Entrepreneurship Fellowship. They provide not only financial fundings, but also, continuing access for SOM and mentorship. So that's also why I choose to base back to New Haven after graduation, to tap back to the resources and continue building my business here. So I do think they do a good job of supporting entrepreneurs, even after graduation in that sense. So anyway, there's a lot of but and the entrepreneurship people, they are absolutely amazing. They're lovely. Everyone just like so supportive. We're all on our different path, but we're there for each other. So definitely go entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Vivian. We always get questions about the alumni network. So I am not going to be targeting any you in particular, any of you can speak to this, but how did you, if you leverage the alumni network, when do you got access to them? How do you connect with them? Are they responsive? Are they not? What experience you have with the alumni network? That's a question we get all the time.
Oh, I can start. I have a very recent experience. Just yesterday, I had dinner with the chairman of Yale International Alliance. So it's one of the alumni group for alumni, obviously. And I'm pretty involved, and now I'm a board member of the YIA. So I think the Yale network is absolutely amazing. I I can't believe how many people I've talked to, with my ideas, and they talk to me just because I'm part of Yale or because we share the same professors and all this stuff. So I think they're pretty, active and trying to engage as alum. And on top of that, I don't know, have you guys encountered Stay? It's I don't know how to describe it. It's like a website where, the alumni, you sign in, where you can match with mentors, and they're all Yale alum. I think that was incredibly helpful as well. And they are different professions, and they're pretty active. I think I reach out to about 10 people, and then I have 5 conversations, and that's very high return rate. So yeah, I would say the Yale alumni group, and also there are so many alumni group like that, and a lot of them are regional based. So definitely it's a strong network out there, that I am currently taking advantage of, not gonna lie.
Perfect. Thank you. David, this question is for you. We get a lot of questions also about careers. So this question is for you because Tanya already came with a job who she returned to, and Vivian is an entrepreneur. So we always say that nobody should do the program just looking for a dream job in the United States. That's not easy. I mean, you managed to secure a job in the US, David, but you're probably one of the few that were able to do so. So you have to come with an open mind. This is a global program. You should focus on the experience education and all the fantastic resources that we have, and not try to secure your dream job right after graduation, because it might take a little bit longer. But I want to hear a little bit about your story, David. Like, how was your process of recruitment first? And then did you have, as we always say, plan A, plan B, plan C? Or you went for plan A and it worked right away? Did you leverage the career development office? Tell us a little bit about your journey until you landed this amazing job that you have right now in San Francisco.
Yes, of course. So yeah, I think I just want to like reiterate what you said. Like most of the cohort, I think maybe 15 people, I mean like 20% stay in the US, but most of them go back to their home country. So I just want to reiterate that. But there's definitely possible if you try really hard and if you get a little bit lucky also in the recruiting process. So what I did is so first of all, during the summer, so I did a first internship, which was in my field of like recruiting. I think helped a lot, enriching my resume. Much easier to get interviews when you have an experience that match the job description that you are trying to reach. The second thing, I mean, it goes back to the alumni network. I think it was a great resource, because in the tech industry, especially in the US, um, you really need to have some referrals because the job applications are very competitive. So even to get an interview, you need to have someone within the company that push for you. And so that's where the having a big alumni network like Yale helps a lot. Even on the West Coast, you also have a lot of alumni. So I was very pleased to see that. Um, I I met some mentors through like the Yale SOM mentorship programs, the Yale-wide mentorship programs, which are very helpful and also like happy to answer your questions. Yeah, some of them refer me in their company, and also try to be very open-minded, like reach out to your own network, maybe even based in your home country, whatever, and yeah, eventually you can find some like get some interviews and prepare them well within like the resources that you get at Yale. Also like the CDO for all the like more fit interviews. I use the Tech Club a lot for preparing on some more technical interviews. Um, and Yeah, eventually I got it. It took me a lot of time because I know like there is a main process which starts, I would say, September in tech. Didn't get a spot at this point. I think I started a bit too late. I would recommend you to reach out to alum during the first year maybe so you can get some referral and stuff. And then I had to wait for more like just in time hiring, or in the end of the like April, May of the year, and so eventually got some interviews and managed to like get one very cool one at Logitech. But yeah, that was a long journey, so be prepared for for that if you want to stay in the US.
Thank you, David. So now we're gonna shift a little bit, and from Singapore and France to New Haven, Connecticut. That's a big change. So any one of you, I'm not targeting anyone specifically, but how was that transition, right? How, you know, I don't know if you rented an apartment or if you stayed at on-campus housing. Then transitioning to New Haven is a small city compared to Paris in Singapore. And then it gets pretty cold here. Like, how was your experience, and what kind of, you know, advice you would like to give to people who might be moving to New Haven for the first time ever?
I can start off. So actually, myself, David, and Vivian, we all lived in houses with other GBS students. And I think that actually was a perfect way to get introduced to the GBS community and really build those bonds. So I lived with 3 other people. They all happened to be French. I grew up in Ivory Coast, so one of the things was it was actually I spoke so much French when I was in there more than actually when I was in INSEAD at Fontainebleau. So that was quite funny. I will say GBS, because we're in Yale, you have that New Haven community, which I think is honestly the perfect ground because it's not too big. It's not like in New York, it's not Paris, it's not Singapore. So you still have that community feeling where you can build a network and really embed yourself within the larger Yale University context. But at the same time, it's not so small that there's nothing but Yale. You can still go up to Boston, you can still go to New York, you can drive around through Connecticut, and there's enough activities that Yale organizes that you can actually explore a little bit. So I quite liked that balance, but I will say it is very cold. I was not expecting how cold it would be. So I lived for 4 years in Switzerland, but I guess I just went to the warmest part of Switzerland I could find when I lived there because Yale was incredibly cold. I kind of forgot that it's right at the border of Canada, but this is where I think the GBS community was super helpful. David might remember this, but I would come up to all of my friends who had experience living in the cold, and I would ask them, okay, so now it's winter. What do I wear? I'm either too cold or too hot. I have too many layers on, or I have not enough. So I think be prepared for that, of course, but also it's not that complicated. I think be able to express yourself in whatever style you have, or just throw on a couple layers. You're not really, the city's not so big that you're going to be out in the cold all the time. It's really as you just leave class and between your class to wherever you live. And everything is kind of walking distance. So that's nice in the summer, a little less nice in the winter. But as long as you're well prepared, I think it's nice. I think the biggest change for me was living in the US. So I never actually visited the US before Yale. So getting to experience the US, American people, the community, embedding myself within the larger New Haven community. I did some volunteering at a couple of community centers. That I think was amazing because I got to learn a different mindset, a different culture that, I mean, I saw a lot on TV and I met a lot of Americans over my life, but always abroad. So getting to meet Americans within the US and learn that culture, I think I really valued that because I had experience in the rest of the world, so Asia, Africa, Europe, but not at all North America. And for me, at least, Yale was a gateway into South America. I went to Costa Rica for the GNAM week, and that was amazing too.
Thank you. So we are sharing so many things, everything so positive. but I'm pretty sure that you faced some challenges during the program. So what would you say was your biggest challenge during the year at Yale? Any of you?
I think for me it was more like managing my time because, as we say, like so many things happening. The classes you can take a lot, the social life at Yale, which is amazing, the career recruitment. It's a lot of things happening, and so being able to always like find the right balance and not committing to too many projects, like being really aware of like when you start to be a little bit too much, you can step down on like maybe lower priorities to fully focus on other ones. That's something I really also learned about myself because when you have so many, you have to make choices all the time. And so you really learn what you like the most and things. That was also interesting, but yeah, there's definitely a challenge about like time management, we'll say.
Thank you. We had a question that we've never had before. I'm very curious about your answers. So somebody asked how, like, when you were choosing your year one school, what criteria mattered most to you? What were the questions you were asking yourself? And again, it's not about the GBS, it's about prior to the GBS. Like, there are two of you who already knew that you were also applying to the GBS, so that might have, weight in your decision. But also, Tanya, like how do you decided your year one school? What were you thinking or considering?
Yeah, I can start that off. Actually, I had applied to HEC and I got in before I got into INSEAD. And one of the draws for HEC was that I could apply somehow through that first year into Yale. So I already kind of had it in the back of my head. But at that time when I was doing it, the GBS program was only for the M2M. But I guess when I was looking at my MIM experience, I'd come from an undergraduate in international relations, so not at all related to business. I'd envisioned a career working in the UN or a non-governmental organization, and I always say accidentally co-founded a social enterprise because that's how it felt like. I knew even less than Vivian does, and it very much was a kind of stumbling in the dark, trying to help but not really knowing what to do. And that really opened my eyes to business as being a potential tool for that. But when I focused on my MIM, that was less about what I wanted to do maybe long term and more about, okay, can I understand the business fundamentals? Like I need to be able to understand marketing 101. I need to be able to understand data science, a little bit Python. I need to understand financial statement analysis, like just the very basics. It's like I always say that those two degrees in combination is like a baby MBA because you have your first year, which is very much on the fundamentals, and then your second year, which luckily happened at Yale for me, that was very much on electives. So that's where I deep dived into, okay, so I really want to focus on leadership. I want to focus on entrepreneurship and developing this idea. Those are the two kind of main things that I focused on when I was at Yale, and that kind of complemented the perspective that I had when I came into my MIM. Because in my MIM, it was, is business the right path for me? And then to get that experience, what does that mean? Do I commit to sustainability or do I try and go into marketing and brand management first? Luckily, that whole experience taught me that sustainability was the right path, which I think set me up very well for the rest of my career and going into Yale. But then that Yale focus was slightly different. It was about polishing it up and looking more practically at from where I am to where I want to be, what are the gaps that I need to fill? And Yale has all the resources that you need.
Perfect. Thank you. We had a question about if the program influenced your career direction in ways that you didn't expect before the program. And now we're talking about the GBS. So did the GBS influence your career in a way that you didn't expect, or some of your peers? Because it seems like, Tanya, you went back to the same company you were working before. Vivian, you were an entrepreneur probably since, you can remember that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, even though you said into finance before, but you were determined probably before the program. So I don't know if the program influenced your career direction. And David, you probably also wanted to be into tech even before arriving to Yale SOM. So anything that you can share, probably from friends or other people, like how, if maybe not, maybe people came with very clear ideas and just, the program helped them get what they wanted to get, but maybe some people changed a little bit ideas once they came to the GBS and explore further. I don't know, what would you answer to this question?
I wouldn't say I want to be an entrepreneur before I started GBS. I think I was having
Oh, no.
yeah, I
Oh,
was having an idea to explore, and that's why I take advantage of so many resources out here. Because at the time, don't get me wrong, I have been focusing my whole life to find a job in finance. And I mean that take a turn, but I'm not determined to be entrepreneur. I think I also support myself that what I'm doing right now. So I think what really changed was with the resources that I have at Yale that are able to, support me through the way to decide, okay, if this is the right problem to solve, can I solve this problem? And through that process, I'd be like, hey, you know what? I actually want to do this full time, and this is what I'm passionate. So I think my time at Yale, it honed me into like, I really appreciate like what I really want to devote my time and energy into. So, so I would say it does surprise me. It does change my career path. Otherwise, I probably work back in finance. But yeah.
interesting. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Perfect. Okay. We still have time left, but I want to make sure that I give each of you the opportunity to share with the audience a piece of advice, something that you wish you had known prior to entering the GBS, that knowing what you know now, you wish you had known, and you want people who are considering the program to know. What would that be?
You mean for the application process or when you're inside the GBS?
Anything. From the moment that you decided you wanted to apply to the GBS to today that you graduated and you're working, what piece of advice you would give potential candidates? You already gave them one, which is, manage time management, work on your time management skills. So that could be one. But like, what would you like to have known?
I think I have one more regarding like if people want to stay in the US for their career.
Yes.
I know the timeline in the US is very advanced, maybe compared to Europe. So if you want to have a job after your graduation, you probably have to apply during the summer of the year before. So like at the moment when you will go into SOM, but at this time you want to have a referral already. So that's why I will advise that you need to start networking during your MAM year, basically. That's what I wish I would have done. I think we have make the process much easier and also more in advance, so less stressful. That's what I would like to know. Otherwise, I think during the GBS yourself, you have a lot of guidance with the professor and all the resources that you have. So I'm sure you will find your way to all the classes and activities.
That's actually a very good piece of advice, because all the GBA students are formerly MIM students, and they're obsessed with securing a summer internship. So it's very hard to get in touch with them the summer prior to arriving to SOM, because they're doing internships. Our career development office get in touch with the students before they arrive on campus. So please, if you really want to recruit in the United States, follow David's advice and either multiply yourself and do the summer internship and all the work that requires to come and hit the ground running for recruitment in the US, or do something part-time or less intensive over the summer and work in networking, and then start getting ready with our CDO office to start recruiting right away when you arrive on campus. Very good advice, David.
Yeah, I think it's hard, but as soon as you get your summer internship, you should almost directly start to reach out to alums in the US. So feel free to reach out to your alums. I think as soon as you got the acceptance letter, people will be ready to help. So yeah.
David, you're gonna get a lot of requests. Okay. Okay, Tanya or Vivian, what would be your advice?
I guess my advice would be that your Yale experience is definitely what you make it. I think David alluded to this earlier, is that there's just so much at Yale. Um, and the community is so responsive and open and just always there to support you. But there's a lot, right, of the community. And since everyone is eager to help you, it can be kind of overwhelming at times, just the sheer number of classes you can take, the amount of professors who you can talk to, the alumni you can connect with, the current students you can speak with. It's just a lot. And I think that that's where I think David's advice of like, okay, focus before you come in also on what you want Yale to be and do for you. Because I think the MIM is where I really explored. And I was thinking about this earlier when you mentioned it, Camino, but if anyone really changed their minds drastically after the GBS, I can't remember anyone who like fully changed or did a full career pivot away during the GBS, because I feel like we all, by the time we came to the GBS, were a little bit more certain on the path that we wanted to take, if not the exact role, but at least generally that, okay, this is the direction that I want to take. I want to be somewhere in STEM, or I want to focus on this region, or this type of role. And that's where we tapped into those subsequent resources at Yale. But I think if you come in a little bit more with that thought process done, it will not only help on the application, but help you really make the most of your experience there. I think if you can prioritize what that is, you can decide, okay, do I want to focus, like David was saying, on just the US? Do I want to look and use Yale's resources to see more of a global context? Because there's many opportunities for you to go to places like Brazil, India. You can go and spend a week in Oxford, for example. Like there's so many different things that you can do. But if you have a little bit of that in your brain before you end up there, I think it would make it a lot easier for you to curate your experience and make sure it's something that aligns with what you want to do. And I think that's the second piece of advice, is that the Yale mission, right, of educating business for leaders in society, I think that is so indicative of the entire broader community, right? It's very much the and society part. I think we care a lot, like I think Vivian was mentioning earlier, about what you can do for the community and how you can contribute to the community. So make sure that that's actually something that you care about before you come into Yale, and that you align with what Yale's and SOM's vision of business is, because that informs everything. So if you have maybe a different perspective, like if you want to go into consulting, or if you want to focus on PEI, but in a very specific way, or you want to do innovation in a very specific way, make sure that that way is something that Yale can help you with, because there are so many different types of colleges and courses that you can take, and maybe Yale won't align with what you want to do. And I think then it's a disservice to your year, because Yale has so many resources, but it's a very specific focus as well.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I hope that answered the advice question.
It did. Vivian.
Yeah, that was so beautifully said. I was like, yes, Tanya, that was, that's good advice. But for me, I would say, I would wish to be able to explore New Haven a little bit more, because a lot of the Yale students, or people come to Yale, maybe Yale is this huge bubble that we think New Haven is Yale, Yale is New Haven, but New Haven isn't Yale. So it was really, nice to hear that, Tanya, you did, volunteer in the community and explore the town a little bit. I think that is what I wish I could have done more. So like, there are so many amazing resources here. For example, right now I'm working out of Climate Haven, which is an incubator that work for climate related tech. And they, they're just so working with so many other students within New Haven or Connecticut. So there is this broader network and world outside of Yale. So I wish, at the time I would be able to explore New Haven or Connecticut a little bit more. But now I have the chance, so no regrets. But I wish I could have done more of that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I think that completes all the questions that we wanted to cover today. I just want to remind everyone that our first round of applications deadline is December 1st. So it's rapidly approaching. It's reserved for candidates from Global Network for Advanced Management schools, but we still have 3 more rounds after that one in January, another one in late February, and another one in April, I believe. All the deadlines are on our website. We also host many events. This is one of my favorites, I have to say. I love to have the webinar with the students and with the alumni because it's like living the experience again, right? But we do have other events as well. Check our website. I think that next Monday, we're going to have a Q&A session. So basically, we connect on Zoom. Whoever connects, great. And we answer questions live. And also, please write to us gbs@yale.edu with any further questions that you don't want to ask in front of other people. My whole team is behind that email, so it's much faster than writing to me. I might take a little bit longer to get back to you, but we're all very excited about our next class of GBS students. You can see our 3 amazing alumni here. It's so good to reconnect with the 3 of you. And I am so grateful. I know you're so busy. People don't know how much time it took to arrange for this webinar to take place today at this time. So thank you, David. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Tanya. And thank you to everybody who's watching or will watch the recording later. Go GBS. David, you got something else that you want to finish?
And just a last piece of advice, because I feel like I spoke a lot about the career aspect. I just wanted to say, because of the questions, but I just wanted to say, like, the year itself is amazing. I think it was my favorite year. And also because you meet so many great people. I remember like the best Halloween party at Vivian's house, the cultural exchange with Tanya. She invited me to the Diwali events. Uh,
Should we share with the audience where David, Vivian, and Camino are going to be on Saturday?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So yeah,
I'll be
explore the broader Yale insane.
and there are so many parties about that. So we have to reconnect, David. Let me know when you're in town. We definitely need to catch up.
So Tanya, you know what's this Saturday?
No.
Is the Yale Harvard American football game.
Yes, I've been getting all the emails.
Game. So we're expecting 50,000 people. It's the anniversary of the first game ever. And I think that we're all going to be there. Like, yes, everybody.
Now I'm really sad I'm halfway across the world, guys.
Hey, David is flying from the West Coast. So
Yeah.
it's only a few more hours. Anyway, thank you everyone for connecting today. Thank you to our amazing alumni. It's great to see you again and to see how well you're doing. And thank you to the audience as well for connecting and listening to us today. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.